Today I'm going to start working on a project that I've been holding off on for far too long, and that is the color changing fog lights for the GTO. I'm 99% sure that what I'm doing here voids the warranty, so if you want to get a set of these and do what I'm doing with them, don't expect for them to be warranty coverage, because you're going to have to destroy the supplied, this isn't a ballast, this is more of a, this is what changes the color essentially. Alright, so this is just a normal 194 style bulb, pretty bright. This is a much larger bulb. It's got two different colors on it, and you may notice that the plug has 4 pins on it. But this converts the 4 pins down to your normal 2. So what is it doing in this box? Without getting too technical, it's doing this. White, yellow, white, yellow. Whenever you turn your fog lights on, this essentially does thinking, hey, turn the white on first, and if we lose signal and then regain it pretty soon, then turn on the yellow light. And if the same thing happens, switch back and forth between white and yellow. It probably has a capacitor inside there that stores some power, so it knows it was recently white and switches to yellow, or vice versa. But as soon as power runs out, it'll default to white being the first color that comes on. That's a good design, but I want something even better. That's why I've taken this apart, so I now have this wire harness that I can wire up to. I didn't just cut it off of here, because if I ever need to unplug this bulb, I can from here, and I wire up to these wires here. So what we have with this bulb is power is being supplied by the battery. It's going through this red wire into the bulb, and then the LEDs are wired in parallel, and you switch Alright, I'm putting in notes. There we go. Now I'm betting this wasn't designed to run both colors at the same time, so we're not going to be doing that. What we can do though is control the light now using a relay. So with this relay design, we've got pins 86 and 85 controlling the electromagnet that switches the other pins. 30 is going to have to be used no matter what, and then 87 and 87A are your switch circuits. So we're going to wire up a switch like this so the driver can turn the lights from white to yellow by switching this on and off, which powers or depowers the relay. Then the relay, if we wire it up correctly, decides which one of these wires gets the ground. That in turn decides which light goes on. Okay, so the way I have this wired up, the relay controls the color of the light. On is white, off is yellow. I'll probably flip that around because white is the most common one, and it's better to have whatever you're using the most commonly to be an unpowered relay. That way it's doing less work most of the time. So we've powered our light and used a relay to control which color the light is based on a switch input. The switch literally be me just connecting and disconnecting that circuit, but the idea is the same because the switch does the same thing on the inside of this box. That's some cool functionality, but we're going to take it a step further once we start installing this on the car. But don't worry, all the concepts I just showed you here, we're going to use just another layer of that. I'm going to remove the bumper to get easy access to all the fog light wires. First we'll need to make sure that the bulbs themselves fit in the housing. So we'll take out this old one. Put in this new one with the color change. There we go. Now that we know that'll fit, let's get into some wiring. We've got 2 wires here, and you can see they have different colors coming out of the back of this plug. What we need to do is turn the fog lights on and check to see which one of these has voltage. Fog lights are on. 11.6. Is that how much battery voltage we have? Alright, so we've got a white wire. We're getting 11.8 volts there. We found our positive and negative. The black with the white stripe, nope, that's purple with the white stripe, is our negative. The white with the black stripes is our positive. So we just need to follow this wire to where it meets with the other wire for the fog lights and see where they splice together. Hopefully they splice together in a place that's easy to work with, because then we can tie in one relay in that spot and then control our color with that. If we disconnect all of our wires, like we're going to need to anyway, then we can get this bumper completely out of our way. Here's our wire for the fog light right here. The wire heads this way across the front bumper to where this other fog light is, and they join right here. There's definitely something stiff in there, so I bet that's where they join the wires together. Or it's just reinforcement. But, oh, look at that. The wiring harness comes apart right here. And these both have a purple and white, so I'm betting that's our ground on both sides. So we just need to find where the two purple and white join together. And there's only one purple and white on this plug, so it's definitely further back. So I'm going to take the electrical tape off of here, and I'll be back after that's done. We got the electrical tape off, and it is pretty much how I thought it was. It's a little further down than I thought, but there's our purple wire coming from this fog light, and the other fog light is along this purple wire, and then they merge inside this heat shrink and come out as one wire. And that wire goes to this plug. However, these plugs they're going to be replaced with these plugs because that's what these connect to. And I can't just cut this off and make a plug out of the material that came with this because this is a 4-wire setup. I need the 4 wires here. This only has 2 wires. Well, technically I only need 3, but 3 is still more than 2. The back of this plug is broken anyway, so it's not a big loss. But since we're taking this ground wire and turning it into 2 ground wires for our switching side, we're going to need to take all this electrical tape off, replace the 1 purple wire with 2 wires of our choosing. I'm going to save all these retainers that I can, but they are in pretty rough shape, and these zip tie ones I'm not going to be able to save. We've got our wiring for the fog lights unwrapped now, so it's going to be easier to work with. Now before I proceed too much further, I'm kind of curious if the power or ground side is switched. So I've got the fog light turned off right now, which means the circuit is incomplete. And if we check, I've got the negative terminal of the battery connected to the common wire on my multimeter. And I'm going to check the red side on this white wire, and I do have voltage there, so that is constantly supplied with positive and the ground is switched. That is going to be important later on. What I could have done if I had the pinning tool and the connector to go in there is take this apart and actually put in wiring through this plug. I am still going to save this plug, but what I have to do is break off the fog light stuff, and I'm going to put that on a separate plug, but I am going to wire the plug to be pretty much parallel with this one. Alright, here we go. And from the notes that I took, the red wire coming out of here is where we need to put our positive, so we're going to solder these two together. Almost forgot to put heat shrink on that. Alright, the camera wasn't on when I soldered that or tried to explain this the first time, so here we are, checking that the camera's on. Yes, it's recording. I think that heat shrink was too big. Alright, well I'm going to leave that on there, but we know for next time not to use that. Our next step is to take these 2 wires here, which is our white light and our yellow light, send them to each other so they can connect and be in parallel, and then those 2 pairs of wires end up going to our relay. Because this black striped white wire was left intact, we can use that as a gauge for how long it needs to be. What I'm going to do is continue to use white wire coming off of the white light, makes it easy to follow, and black is going to be blue. Not even going to cut the wire yet, I'm just going to strip the end off of it and solder it to this connector. That's how far we need to go with those. So we'll give it a little extra and snip it off there. One on blue. One on white, and one on both. I'll just leave a little bit of the wire exposed, so if I need to strip it back and see what's going on, it's not all up in there and I have to cut that off too. I'll have to figure out some way to put this wire away. I think I can just cut it where the heat shrink is the thickest and then tape it up so it stays put. To be honest, I don't really know what the blue wire does. It's probably some sort of signal that makes that box work. Those wires are ready. Now I need to work on this other end. This is going to connect to the red wire on our other plug. This purple wire, since it's already established on the car, I'm going to cut right here and right here so I can get rid of this section. Reconnect it if the purple wire that I have here is long enough. It is pretty long, and I'm going to use that as our return from the relay. The relay is going to have two prongs that are going to be switched between, which is our switched color, and then to complete the circuit, the other end of the switch that stays constant, that is going to be where the purple wire comes out and goes back to this plug, which plugs into the car over there. You can see by these plugs that we took off already, one is a white with black stripe, and the other one is a white with like a bluish teal stripe. And here's our white with the bluish teal stripe coming off of this plug. They made them two separate wires for this plug, even though they did join the two purples together by this point. Looks good, can't really even tell where the solder is. The next step is going to be finding where we're going to want to put the relay. A good place to put it is right next to the relays you already have, so they're all in one spot. But this is on the opposite side of the car that we're working with, so all the wires would have to come this way and then all the way back. Instead of that, I'm going to put it on the opposite side of the car. There's plenty of room there, I just need to find a mounting spot. In here looks pretty nice, and since I already got rid of the stock airbox, there are two bolt holes in here that I can use to bolt the relays down. That's looking good. And yeah, there are two relays there. I'm gonna get into why there's a second one later. So we're gonna need to take our purple wire here and bring it up to this relay, wire it in so it's on 30, which means our colors are coming in to 87 and 87A. On this plug, the 30 goes to the purples, and our normally on is going to be white, 87A. 87A is down the center. Now I'm going to take the wires that are going to be used to ground either the yellow light or the white light and wire them up to the other side of the plug. At this point, make sure the wire back to the other plug is not tangled up, especially in your working equipment. And I have done that already, so we will go into stripping the end of the wire now. We also need to make our final warranty void on this, and we're snipping it off here. At this point, I've double checked to make sure that my wires are not tangled up, and now we are going to combine 3 wires. So I'm going to aim the 2 wires that are going towards the lights the same way, and then the outgoing wire is going to come to them. Well, this does seem a little short, and this connector may look like it's going to be a little too close to the fog light housing. This bulb does have an extension off of it for this connector, so it's not super close. We do need to keep that distance in mind though when we take this wire up through the car and to the relay. White is going to be our normally on light, so we want to take it to 87A on the relay. So we can take this wire a little further. That seems good. I'm doing the same layout where it's the lighting side on here and then the relay side comes in to meet them. Gotta fire up the old spicy pencil and make a wiring harness. With this wiring harness, I'm hoping to plug into the flasher relay and find a power source that's only on when the turn signal is on, but also doesn't go on and off, on and off. Here's the flasher relay ready to test. So the first thing we want to check is see what is being fed positive voltage when the key is off. Nothing is, that's good. Just need to make sure it's the same with the key on. Alright, there's a leg that's got power. That leg has power too. So this one is probably our signal for a turn signal, which means this probably won't work. Alright, so this middle one here is our switched one. Yeah, this one's receiving power all the time. That means there's no signal off of this flasher that says the turn signal is on, but this is just an on signal. It's either getting the power it needs or it's sending an on-off signal to the bulbs. So at this point I realized that I didn't actually think about the relays enough, and I had to sketch out what I was doing, and it turns out I'm gonna have to use more relays than I thought. There's gonna be a mess of relays down there, but I don't care. I set myself to doing this. It's gonna work, so I'm just gonna work on through and do it. It would be better to do this with a computer. A computer can have all the circuits that decide when this is on, this is off, all that kind of stuff. I had to design these relays to work. Because I'm limiting myself to one type of relay, this is probably way more complicated than it needs to be, but I've gone through everything. I'm pretty sure I got it figured out, so I'm gonna wire it up and make it work. I'm pretty sure I could design the same system to work on a circuit board, and the circuit board would be less complicated. I'll explain this on a whiteboard later so I can make all the wires different colors so it's easier to follow what's going on in this scribble mess. For now, I'm just going to build it and be done with that and then explain how it works later. I've started by wrapping electrical tape around 2 of the 3 relays. This is going to be for the white light control. This is going to be our switched yellow light control, and this is black because it's also a yellow light control, but it also turns the yellow light on and off, so dark for when it's off. The circuit comes in from the white side of the fog light, and it goes into 87A, which is the normally on side of the switched relay. 30 is our common ground, which leads to the fog light relay. Number 30 on the relay is the side of the relay that doesn't get switched on the switched side of the relay, and that connects to purple, which leads to our main fog light relay. So if you turn the fog lights on or off, it's providing ground for this purple wire. The OEM fog light relay on the car gives this a ground, so it doesn't matter what this is doing if that relay is off. The 87 side of the relay is going to connect to its own coil, as well as the 30 on another relay. That's our color switched yellow relay. So these 4 wires are all going to be bound together. And this looks like I'm just grabbing some random wires and soldering them together for no reason. And I promise you I did the diagrams. I made the diagrams up myself, and if this doesn't actually work, you'll be watching this as part of outtakes rather than an actual video. So I'm going to work on the color relay to the flasher signal relay relationship next. Untangle them the best that you can, but the way these are set up, it's going to be a little difficult to do that. That's why it came together perfectly, because it knew that I had to put on heat shrink. Black on color switch is going to go to purple. So I wired up this purple wire before I actually did all my homework, so I'm going to need to break this thing back open. Alright, now's a good time to keep your wires separated because that'll keep them untangled. This is going to line up real nice. I need to cut this because this is right, but I need to put the ground of this in here too. I'm going to cut the black one the same length, even though I can just strip off that bit and be done. I'm just going to make this look a little bit better. These cutters bad? Jeez, they were cutting fine, but like today they're just terrible. Maybe it's just me. I feel like the wires on these relays were a little bit of an overkill. That one turned out pretty good, despite that terrible twist job. Do you have any pins that are not going to be connected to anything? Doesn't look like it. Alright, I need to break into the turn signal. Luckily there's one right here. Yeah. Gonna have to look at my wiring diagrams to see which one of those is the turn signal and which one's the running light. I'm gonna bet that the black wire is ground, but let's not assume anything. Alright, the light blue wire is the one that I need to cut into. That's all the slack I get. Man, I wish I had one of those tape removal tools. And these hooks save the day about 20% more often than they stab you, so definitely good to have. Alright, I'm gonna cut this open and I'm gonna be dealing with some tight fit, but we got this. There's one, there's two, and I need to get a wire because I'm not gonna stick this super close to the relays, because I know if I try to connect these, it's not going to reach the light bulb where it's supposed to go. All right, that's going to go into the coil for the white. So positive side, I'm going to do white wire on white. And the white wire is also going to go where the switch is going to pull into on the yellow. All right, so I need enough wire to go from here around, back here, up around the firewall, and through the firewall, back across the firewall on the inside to a switch under the dash, and that's where this wire will end. Yeah, that should be enough. Yeah, I'm gonna have to extend these wires. Forgot to turn the camera on for this soldering job. I put a bunch of back and forth bends in this rod here on both sides so I could wrap it around and have it grab onto it better, because this is just meant for a circuit board kind of thing. So this wire is going to the switch behind the firewall. Alright, this wire I'm putting on here is kind of overkill for what kind of current is going to be running through here, but I'm using it anyway to get the extra thick strands of copper on here. Those extra thick strands of copper should hang on to this diode a little better. And every now and then while I'm working, I'm just checking to make sure that the wires are not unnecessarily tangled up. It's definitely still a mess, but it's a manageable mess. I think we're almost done with this side. Just need to ground a few things, put a switch on it, and we should be able to test this side out. I feel like I could do better, but I don't know. This is a funky project, so I'm just gonna go with it. Everything's on the yellow relay, everything on the white relay. These two need a ground. I think that's it. The switch needs power. I'm gonna connect the car back up to the battery. All right, turning on the fog lights. All right, that's good. Turn signal. Oh, I need the car on for that. Nice. All right, fog light and turn signal. Yes. What's burning? Oh, it's the blue wire for the fan. Huh. I guess that would make sense. I thought the blue wire was for a signal, but I guess that is for a fan. Alright, now I need to figure out how to wire that up so it's on all the time if any lights are on at all. Glad I caught that before that died. There's power there and it needs a ground. So I just need to find something that provides that ground anytime it's in use. I think that can be paired up with the white, and also it needs to be powered for yellow. Alright, let's see if the fan turns on this time. No fan. Alright, let's connect this temporary switch. Looks like both colors were on. Uh-oh. That doesn't sound happy. Alright, something's not right. There's definitely two lights on at the same time for some of that. This thing's connected the wrong way. Yeah, that seems better. That looks very white. Let's make sure the fan's running. It is running. And flip the switch. Huh. Turn signal. That's getting pretty warm still. There's probably a resistor in there too. It looks like the amber fades out as it turns on. Like it's on and then starts getting dimmer. Alright, the switch is already activated for the amber color. Yeah. Alright, so that's not working. It kind of looks like it's being latched on. But I don't know what amber would be latched on. So power should be going to the LED, switching off to the yellow and white. So we follow the white. No, we follow the yellow. The yellow will go to... okay. So I need to put in another diode. So the yellow is following the path to the white relay. And if the white relay is latched down, then the yellow is just constantly on. So kind of like if I cut the yellow wire off of the white relay, it should fix our latching problem. Alright, the fan's working. Turn signal. That works. Turn signal with fog lights on. That looks like it's doing that fading thing again. And it's still really hot. I think I'm gonna have to put a resistor on this because it's getting too hot. I'm taking white on the white relay off, putting it to blue on the white relay. That goes to the fog light relay, the main one on the car, because it's a grounding side switch and we don't need to worry about turning the white off unless the white is on. So if the white is off, no power needs to go through this coil, so this doesn't need to be on. Oh, that's just ground. Okay, I need this. Got fog light on, white. Turn signal. It kind of looks like it's not fading anymore. Alright, switch it to yellow. Alright, it works when it's just switched to yellow. Fog light yellow. Looks like it's not fading. Turn signal. Alright, I think that's it. I think we did it. Yeah. So I just need to put a resistor in there somewhere. I could probably put one for both white. Yeah, just a shortcut that puts the diodes in line with wherever the lighting goes. If I put a resistor in that way, I end up with the resistance in line with the fan. So I don't want that. I don't know. I just need to put those resistors in. I'm not going to be able to reuse these. I'm just going to cut them off. So there's the fan. And I need to direct that somewhere that's going to run full power. Maybe a little resisted. I don't know how much resistance is on the board for that fan. Gotta order up some resistors. Probably put them here and here. If I find a resistor that's good for both colors and the fan, I can just put them on the main power source. Alright, fast forward a month or two. I had to wait to get these resistors, and that was only a few days. And then I had to keep up with my video release schedule, and I was very not motivated to work on this thing. And I also got a nice new microphone, so the sound might be a little different now. I got this pack of resistors. It's actually a 10 pack, and there's 5 total different resistors in here, so 2 of each type, which is good because you got one light on each side. The problem is I don't know which one I need to use. That's part of the reason why I got this multi-pack. I can just stick it on there and see what the results are. Technically, you could do calculations to figure out what amperage that type of LED wants, but you need to know what type of LED that is, and I don't know where to begin searching for that, so This makes it easier to just try it out. Is it good or bad? And then try the next one. So in this pack, I've got 2 3 ohm resistors, 2 6 ohm resistors, 4 8 ohm resistors, but there's different wattages for those two, and a 25 ohm. Oh, and I got some new lighting, so that'll make it easier to see what I'm working on. This would have been so much easier if this had a common ground and the positive sources were what fed the LED and the fan. So I'm thinking, since yellow is mostly just for show anyway, I'll put more resistance on yellow so I can put the resistor on yellow further back in the circuit so that the fan can bypass that resistor. So when the turn signal's on, the fan will get full power so it can cool it down the moments that it's on, and the LED won't get full power, so it won't be generating quite as much heat, which will be good because this fan, when the turn signal's on, will just be turned on and off, on and off. The only thing I can think of is supplying a constant power on ground to the fan, which means anytime the car is on, the fan's on. So even if you're not using the fog lights, the fan just keeps going and going, and it's going to wear out prematurely. I want to try that out in the lens housing, see how bright that is. Alright, I'm going to test how many amps are going through here because I need to know what kind of resistance is built into this unit. We're going to assume that there's no resistance in there. So 6 ohms and 12 volts that we're working with, that is going to be 2 amps. This thing is fused to handle up to 10 amps, so we should be safe there. Oh yeah, there's definitely some resistance in the unit itself because we have about a quarter, roughly a quarter of what I was expecting for amperage. Just trying to think, if I have the fan going past the resistor to this, which is ground, that'll ground out the fan, but if I also have it come out after the resistor that's on the yellow and it grounds out to there, that means either way both colors are going to be ground out. So yeah, I am going to have to use diodes on the fan side so one of these colors doesn't ground itself out to the other color's ground. I will have to bring some wiring out from this so that these resistors, these things heat up a bit, so I'm going to have to wire them out to the chassis so I can just let them dissipate their heat on the chassis. Yeah, that's pretty good. I just realized I left the battery charger on this whole time, so there's this high-pitched whine in the background. So this is yellow with 8 ohms. More permanent connections because I don't need to mess with them again. I can mess with the other end of the wire. Alright, I got the 2 diodes soldered on with the negative ends facing out, and I put that on the wrong. Just not paying attention to what I'm doing, huh? I've got the yellow light wire, which is going to have the higher resistance. Alright, that should be enough to get the light to turn on and have the fan go on. So let's see if it does that. Man, this is getting to be a mess. Turn my camera brightness down a bit. Didn't look like it turned on. Where did I mess up? Oh, I wired up the yellow light. Since I've got the yellow one going, let's just test that one out. Alright, the fan's going. Right around 70 degrees. Well, that's getting hotter. 77.3 was the highest that I scanned there. I'm going to let it run for a bit. If I had just done an amperage test with the original bulb, with the way it was wired up originally, I would have been able to see what kind of amperage it's designed to run at, and then I could have just tuned for that. So far the heatsink is staying pretty close to ambient temperature. I imagine if it was having trouble keeping up with the heat that bulb was generating, this would start running away and not being able to keep up. So this wire is going to go to the 3 ohm. So all these are wired up. Positive, fan ground, white ground, yellow ground. I think this is it. Fog lights on. Fans on. Alright, and switch. Ah man, that's still doing both colors. What about the turn signal? Lights on. Fog lights on. Turn signal. That's still doing yellow and white at the same time. That would explain it. Okay, so I need to rewire the white relay. So I can test this, connecting them here. Alright, we're going to test this out with that jumper on it. White light relay grounded to fog light switch ground. Alright, that's working. Alright, that's just yellow. Right, turn signal. Nice. Let's see if that fan is spinning. Yeah. Alright, so the fan does spin when it's just turn signal. Fog light yellow turn signal. And let's switch it back to white. White and turn signal. Nice. That's exactly what I wanted. That is all correctly wired. I just need to put some fuses in there and that should be good to go. Alright. That took months. That's gonna be so cool though. I do need to solder that wire into place, but other than that, this is proof of concept proven. When I saw this torn back, I was like, I figured this thing out already, didn't I? Just need to cover up this embarrassing soldering job. And if you don't cover up your embarrassing soldering job with an embarrassing electrical tape job, was it even a DIY project? Alright, it's been a long journey getting that side to work. I'm going to do this side as well, but now that I've figured out what I need to do for that side, I'm going to make another video that's going to be a more polished version explaining how you could do this at home. This video probably showed enough that you can fill in the blanks here and make it yourself, but I do want to make a more user-friendly, polished up, really good looking video for the other side that's going to explain how to do it with less fumbling around. It should be a little more clean too. And since wiring up a switch behind the dashboard from the engine bay is a generally good video to have, there's lots of other stuff that you can wire up from the dashboard to the engine bay. I want to make a video separately showing that, so it's still going to be part of this project, but it's going to be a separate video so that it can be useful for someone searching for the video that's trying to wire up something else that's from their engine bay to their dash. Look at the length of this video though. Thanks for sticking around to the end, and I hope to see you in the next Car Simplified video.